I am in Switzerland County, Indiana at the Mount Zion Church and Cemetery. And in this video I'm just going to look around a few abandoned cemeteries and churches and just some other stuff here in the county. I've been to a lot of these places before, so it's pretty interesting. So we're going to go check this out first. This church was built in 1878. This is way out in the country. Obviously there are no longer services. It is still under private ownership. So there's the old cornerstone or something. And there's definitely some wear and tear on the building. The doors, however, are new and looks like they have quite the lock system, so we can't get in. I've never been inside. Looks like they might have some stained glass on the interior. And back behind the church, like so many rural churches, there is a cemetery, probably of most of the area farmers who live within like a mile or two from here and went to this church. There's a bunny. There is a bunny. I don't know if there's ever going to be any more burials in here. There's still room. Maybe, you know, people still live around here. So it's definitely possible. A lot of the gravestones are very old, and as the place is not really taken care of too well, they have completely fallen apart, some of them. This one has the hand pointed up to heaven. This is the grave of Heinrich Schneider, who was born in Bavaria. Gravestone of Floyd McKay. Not sure quite what's happened here. It looks like some charcoal. There might have been like a fire here. I don't know if this is all part of a gravestone. It's like a bottle of something. So not sure what's happening here. I think the most recent burial is Rosie Hauk. She died in 2003. This person was named Indiana. I have never seen or heard of anyone named Indiana except for this person. She was born in 1861. I've never been able to get out here at night, but there is a Civil War ghost. There's, I think, a few Civil War veterans probably buried around here, and one of them supposedly haunts the place at night. Whoever is buried here may be the Civil War ghost. A few of these graves have this blue stone. I'm not sure what exactly it's made out of, but it's really nice color. Stephen Higgins was a troop in the U.S. Regulars. See, this one has toppled over. Where this may be the grave of the Civil War ghost. And it's sad to see cemeteries in this state. See, these have all been messed up. There's old American flag remnants all over the place. Now we're going to take a ride in a 1954 Willys Jeep. So this is the Zion Chapel Cemetery. Obviously the sign is very old and worn. This is just a small cemetery on a back road. Here's the abandoned Zion Church. I believe it's well over 100 years old at this point. Alright, inside the abandoned Zion Church. You could see the roof is still kind of here. Most of it is intact, except for all of that part. Not sure where that came from because there's still roof directly above it. That's kind of weird. Most of the floor has caved in. It's not sturdy at all. And for some reason there's been a bed spring. This has been here for a long time. Actually, you could see some remains of the original interior roof. It looks like that might have been iron, cast iron or something. Maybe painted. It's all rusted out now. The roof is definitely sagging. Probably not going to be up all that much longer. I think this is an abandoned cemetery. There haven't been any burials in quite a long time. And not sure why people would have been buried here. Maybe the farmers in this general area and they weren't buried in the VV cemetery. See, this person, born 1814, died 1881. This is a wooden cross one of John Washmuth, who died in 1912. Now, this gravestone's pretty much on the road now. Here's an old stone. Can't read the first name, but the last name is Leclerc. They died 1881, 39 years old. This one looks like a stack of logs. Here's another old log one. Here's a Civil War veteran. There's a little stone here in the grass. This is the nicest gravestone in the cemetery for Janny Schroeder, who died in 1896. George Adams was in the Union Army. This one may be the grave of a child. This is a pretty interesting one. It's like a pulpit, the Bible on top, and gates to heaven are depicted. In the back corner is the only one with flowers. He died in 1934. This is a soldier in the 7th Kentucky Cavalry, but for the Union, because this is a standard Union veteran gravestone, plus they got the American flag. And these are the most isolated gravestones here. Back in the woods is a little known and private cemetery. This is a long abandoned cemetery on private property, which I do have permission to be on. And recently, in the past few years, there was a restoration of these old graves. They're basically ineligible and all in the ground before. So now everything is up and looking better than ever. There's actually someone very important to the county buried here. This is the grave of Edward Violette, who was born in 1771 and died in 1826. Violette here is one of the earliest pioneers in Switzerland County. And it's believed this area around here would have been his family's farm, because this is their mostly family cemetery. I remember a lot of these graves were not even visible like less than 10 years ago, and this one was visible, but the marker here had like totally fallen over It was like on the ground there, and you couldn't even really make out what it said unless you like put paper over it and like put a crayon on it to try to read it. So it's been nicely restored. Grave of Edward Violette Jr. There's a good chunk of this one is completely gone. Now, not all of them are totally preserved. Like, there's a few just here, and a lot of these were not written gravestones. It's important to remember that back then, unless you had a good amount of money, you probably didn't get like a written gravestone or anything. So there's probably a lot of totally unmarked graves in here as well. Look at this little one. Looks like that one has a Bible on it. This one's pretty neat. Joshua Jones has a Masonic symbol on his gravestone. Back here, I have no idea who these people were. They're just unmarked or unwritten names. Yeah, most of these are really hard to see in the grass and the plants and everything. Alright, I am now in the woods, and I have a little secret that has never been shown before, I don't think, on the internet. This is an Adena burial mound built about 2,000 years ago. And a lot of the tourist ones along like the Ohio River in Indiana and Ohio, and West Virginia, they'll all be cleared off, and usually they're quite a bit bigger than this one. This is a fairly small one, but this is Native American burial ground. Some of the oldest human evidence in the region. There have been limited excavations in the area. There have been some artifacts. I think they found evidence of like a campfire somewhere around here. So they would have lived in this area. This was their ceremonial mound, and it's still here. So a lot of the tourist ones are cleared off of all the trees, but because they are just earthen mounds, they can grow some pretty significant sized trees over time. These are the banks of the flooded Ohio River. Usually there's a beach that you can walk on. It's pretty neat, but obviously that's not there right now. And thank you, Kentucky, for polluting our air. Pretty sure down this way there used to be a road that would have led to a dock on the river, because there's a bunch of asphalt. A staircase to nowhere at the moment. It's a lot of mud. Here's a geode. Right here is some real petrified wood from Arizona. This is a big chunk of the old Indian Creek bridge that they tore down like 15 years ago. I did go on it when I was younger, but this is some of the remains. I don't even know what those things are. There's a well under here. And right here is a vintage 1970s camper. So in case you ever wondered what one of these look like on the inside, there's a old fridge. So this is what like in the 70s and 80s you could travel around in, camp across the country in. Pretty neat. There's some chunks of coal still left from the old house. There's a bunch of old farm machinery. Not an expert on this stuff. See it all the time at museums, but still never learned exactly what it was. Plus, it's very rusted out. Interesting old ice box. Take a look at this abandoned shack. Let's take a look in the shack, shall we? Let's see what's in here. It's just a bunch of junk, really. Let's see, there's like an old toilet. That's about it. Probably was some sort of outbuilding for a house that was originally in the area.